Okay, um, let's pick back up with we did the types of T cells, we did the lymphopoiesis. I want these three components up here, the bone marrow, the thymus, and the lymph node, okay? Now name the 5 tonsils. Now 2 of these are paired, okay? So the palatine, pharyngeal, and the lingual. Palatine, pharyngeal, and lingual. And 2 of these are paired, which means there's 2 of them, which is only 3, 2 of them are paired, which is 4, and there's 1 that's 5. Now, I want you to know that the lingual tonsil is associated with tonsillitis. Tonsillitis. I still have my dad named tonsils. You can't get them taken out when you're sick with it. When you're better, who the hell wants to take them out? So I had tonsillitis one time as a kid, and that was it. But I still have mine. They don't ever give me a problem, so I don't never have them taken out. Now, I want you to know that the lingual is associated with tonsillitis, and the pharyngeal is associated with adenoids. Adenoids. You may have heard of adenoids, you may not, but I want you to hear about it now. Adenoids, the pharyngeal tonsil that we have right here. Now, the flow of fluid in the lymph node, my figure is 22-8. The flow of fluid in the lymph node, okay? Let's take a look at the flow of the fluid in the lymph node. And actually, I got to turn the damn thing upside down. Okay? Artery, vein, lymph vessel. Okay? There's a lymphatic artery, there's a lymphatic vein right here, and there is a lymph vessel. An efferent vessel brings the fluid away. Efferent. Efferent. So the fluid is going to come down here, efferent, F-F-E-R-E-N-T. Now, we have germinal centers in here. And I'll put down 3 of them. Okay? We have germinal centers. The fluid comes in the lymph node through these afferent vessels. Right? Fluid comes into it. Now, whatever antigen that's been picked up in this interstitial fluid, because remember the formation of lymph itself, the formation of lymph with maybe it came from the gut. Maybe there is a bug that got out of the gut into the interstitial fluid right there. It's picked up in the lymphatic system right here. Well, this fluid right here has got to pass over B cells and T cells. So what we find out here, and I want you to know this right here, this is a germinal center. N-I-N. That is a germinal center right here. It's also called a lymphatic follicle. All right, germinal center is what I learned. Now, there is a medullary region, an inside region, and a cortical region, an outside region. The medullary region right here, I'm just going to draw me a line right here. The medullary region is concentrated with T cells. The medullary region is concentrated in T cells. The cortical region, more superficial region, is concentrated in B cells, all right? B cells. All right, now, so here we have pathogens coming in, all right? There's no pathogen there, there's no activity. But this is interesting right here, it really, really is. How do the lymphatic cells, the lymphocytes, remember what a lymphocyte looked like? Lymphocyte looked like? Not much cytoplasm associated with a lymphocyte. There's not much pseudopodia, not much phagocytosis, not much amoeboid movement. So how in the world can these lymphocytic cells get into and out of circulation in the lymph nodes, okay? Remember, the B cells are going to be cortical, the T cells are going to be medullary. Medullary medulla inside, okay, that's where that term comes from right there. Well, they got to have really big holes in the capillary system. And we're going to take a look at the high endothelia venules, HEVs right here. So here's an artery, here's a vein, no big deal right there. Here's an artery, here's a vein, here's an artery, here's a vein right here, and somewhere in between them right here, is a very large space in between the capillary cells that make up the capillaries in the lymph nodes, which are called HEVs, high endothelia venules. I want you to know this, HEVs. HEVs are very porous capillary cells that allow the entrance and exit of the lymphocyte. The only place in the body that it occurs in the lymph node itself. All right? So, with that in mind, Lymphadenopathy. Did give two reasons for lymphadenopathy. Lymphadenopathy is when you feel it. It's a swollen lymph node right there. The two reasons are a regional infection that's activated the sucker right there, or cancer, okay? And a lymphoma, a Hodgkin's lymphoma. Of course, Hodgkin's discovered one. It's about 23 or 4 or 5 different kinds of Hodgkin's lymphomas right now. But anyway, cancer and a regional infection is a reason why a lymph node would even be noticeable. We have them under our arm, okay? I can't do that very well. We have them under our arm called the axillary lymph node. And a reason an axillary lymph node would swell, probably more than likely in women right here, is due to the metastasis of cancer. When it spreads from the breast to the regional lymph node is the axillary lymph node under the arm, then you have a knot under your arm, okay? When your tonsils swell, when they get infected right there, you feel them. I can't feel mine now because I don't have a sore throat. But when you feel a knot right there, you have a lymphadenopathy, a swelling of the lymph node. Okay, that's what I want you to get out of that right there. Okay, involution. I mentioned to you earlier about the thymus, that I don't even have a functional thymus anymore. Yours is about half gone, maybe 60% gone now, okay? The thymus involutes, it shrinks, all right? It really does, and that's what the term means. It's the only organ that we know that involutes, that shrivels up to nothing that we have, okay? The function of thymosin. Thymosin is a group of hormones secreted by the thymus gland itself. So the function of thymosin is to stimulate T cell maturation. That's a function of the thymus itself, maturation and selection right there, and stem cell division. So thymosin stimulates stem cell division and T cell maturation. That's what I want you to write down. Okay? Now, I have 4 functions of the spleen. 4 functions of the spleen. Now, it's good for iron storage. It's good for iron storage. So remember the storage of iron from the red blood cell right there. About 97% of the iron that's removed from the heme is recycled. So it's going to be stored in the spleen itself. We have recycle the red blood cell. Recycle the red blood cell. The large sinusoids in the spleen right there where the phagocytic cells line, and the blood flows over them fairly slowly, and the aged red blood cells are recycled. They're removed. Excuse me. As part of the third line of defense. I want you to write down third line of defense. We haven't even talked about lines of defense, not yet, but we will here shortly right here. Okay? And it's a red blood cell reservoir. Those are the 4 functions of the spleen. A red blood cell reservoir will not be in your text. The other 3 will be. So whenever that you get massive loss of blood, you're going to get a splenic contraction, and it's going to release the stored red blood cells into circulation. It's a good thing. It really, really is. Okay? Now, when one has a splenectomy, there's a problem with a bacterial infection, a certain bacterial infection. I want you to tell me what type of bacterial infection it is when one has a splenectomy. Okay? Now let's talk about the 3 components, the components of the nonspecific defenses. Now, I'm going to differ a little bit from what our author has right here. I learned first line of defense, second line of defense, and third line of defense, okay? The first line of defense is the physical barriers that we have right here. 3 components of the physical barriers right here are the skin, the respiratory tract. The respiratory tract is a first line of defense that we have right here. And anything that's ingested, the respiratory tract has this respiratory elevator. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then we have the gut. But let's back up before we get to the gut. Let's go to the stomach itself, okay? Let's go to the stomach itself and talk about the presence of hydrochloric acid. So anytime that we ingest an antigen, it's got to get past the hydrochloric acid, the very acidic environment of the stomach. That's what I rely on most of the time, okay? As far as one of my first lines of defense right there. If it gets by that, then my second line of defense will cut in. And that would be the formation of the phagocytic cells. And I'll refer you to a page here in just a few seconds right here. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do it right now, okay? We have listed here on 2211, figure 2211, innate defenses. I don't even use the word innate right there, okay? And it lists physical barriers. There are 3 physical barriers again. The skin, the respiratory tract, and the stomach. That covers a lot of area, okay? Now we have listed right here the types of phagocytes. phagocytic cells. We know that there are two phagocytic cells. The monocyte macrophage system is called the RE, reticuloendothelial system. That's the next objective right there. Then we have the most prominent white blood cell called the neutrophil. The bands and the segs are the neutrophils. So I'm looking for neutrophils, monocyte / macrophage, okay? And I don't know why I have in here about the RE system right here. You probably never hear of it. But the reticuloendothelial system is the monocyte macrophage system, okay? They're probably the same darn cell. As far as I know, they are the same cell, okay? Like the basophil and the mast cell are the same cell, okay? But that's all right, different story, okay? Now, I'm going to stop it again and see if I can't hold on to this, and I'll cover another one a little bit later on. Thank you. Bye-bye.